Hey guys, it was all a dream here. So I know we all have that piece of furniture that we feel like it's no good anymore, or a piece of furniture that we really love and we don't want to get rid of it, but it's just outdated. It doesn't fit into our spaces anymore. Well, in this video, I am going to show you how you can upcycle and make your furniture brand new and look good, just like I did my son's dresser here. And as you can see, I added some little galaxy knobs. We're into the space and galaxy thing, and there we go. So stay tuned. So the supplies and materials that you'll need a sander. I purchased this handheld sander. Next, you're gonna need a paintbrush. I purchased this 4-inch and it worked really well. And I also used a 1-inch brush that worked well for the smaller areas. You'll also need some paint. I purchased this from my local hardware store. And you're also going to need a screwdriver to take off the dresser knobs. And you'll also need patch and paint, especially if you have any scratches or anything, you can fill in those holes. And finally, you'll need your furniture that you want to upcycle. And the first step is to just take the screwdriver and unscrew all of those dresser drawer knobs before you paint. So in this part of the video, you see that I start off trying to use an electric sander, but I didn't realize until I actually started that it no longer worked. But I highly recommend, if you have the extra funds to purchase one, I would definitely do that because it would just make your job totally easier. So I am now beginning to sand down the furniture. And again, I am using the handheld detail sander sanding kit that I purchased from my local hardware store. And it came with 3 different type of assorted grits. So it came with 4 sheets of the 60, 4 sheets of the 80, and 4 sheets of the 120. And from what I understand, the lower the number, the tougher the grit. So I actually started out using the 120 grit sandpaper, but then in the middle of me sanding, I went back and I just started with the 80 because it was a little bit tougher than the 120. So I started out with the 80 and I sanded it down, and then I went back over it with the 120. So you see me here using those muscles to sand it down. That was not easy. That's why I said I recommend an electric one for sure, because afterwards my arms were tired. Okay, that I had to put a lot of little work in that, and so it wore me out. And I had to get my husband to finish the rest. I finished that top part and maybe half of one side, and I was over it. I was ready to go purchase one, but my husband came in and saved the day. But first, next step, you just want to go ahead and get that piece of furniture sanded down. And of course, the reason we want to sand it down is so that the paint goes over the wood smoothly. as you can see, the top of the dresser has some severe scratches in it and indentations and grooves that I don't want to show through when I paint over it. So that's where the patch and paint comes in handy. So I'm just gonna use the patch and paint and a spatula. In this case, I have an old hotel key card that I found laying around, but in this case you would use a spatula or whatever you have, and you can find a spatula at your local hardware store as well. And you just want to smooth that patch and paint inside of those scratches and indentations and markings. And what that will do is just make the paint go over smoothly and easier, and those scratches and things won't show through. So if you have severe scratches and markings in your furniture, you will definitely need this. Once you have your furniture sanded completely down and patch and painted if necessary, then you're just gonna take a soft old rag or cloth that you're not using, and you just want to go through and dust off all of the dust particles from the sanding, as you see me doing here. Now it's time time for the fun part, and that's to begin painting. Again, I found this paint from my local hardware store, and here's a tip for you. Make sure that anytime you are looking for paint, always visit the Miss Paint section first because they are heavily discounted. At regular price, this paint would have been $65, but I was able to get it for $15. And I also forgot to get them to shake the paint up for me. And I also forgot to get one of those wooden stir sticks. So I'm just using an old paintbrush and just stirring it around really good, making sure that it's mixed really good. So now it's time to get ready to paint. I started painting the dresser drawers first so that they could go ahead and dry. And using that 4-inch paintbrush really helped me to get a lot of coverage. That was the reason that I purchased that size brush, and it worked really well for me. I also ended up using like a foam brush to paint the curved edges because the bigger brush was just a little too big for that part, so that was helpful. And as you notice, I'm just taking my time and, painting long strokes in the same direction just to make sure to get that even coverage. And you see me using the big brush here for those curved edges, but eventually, like I mentioned earlier, I ended up using a foam brush just because it was easier for me. I'd also like to mention that as I was painting, even though one coverage looked like it was perfect, and it covered the entire wood, I ended up doing 2 coats just to give it more coverage. That was just my personal preference. You may notice where you may only need 1 coat of paint, but typically sometimes I just like to do 2, just to give it that added coverage, but you would just do whatever works for you. And here is the dresser completely painted. We are almost done. Now here's the packaging that the Galaxy cabinet knobs came in. I gotta admit, when I first opened up this packaging, I was like, oh my gosh, they sent me the wrong thing and I know I'm gonna have to send it back. But that was just what the packaging looked like. And lo and behold, there go the Galaxy cabinet knobs. They look great. I purchased these from Amazon, and you can find the link in the description, but they look amazing. So I'm really excited about how they turned out. And now the next step is to install the cabinet knobs onto the dressers, and they came with washers and screws, as you can see me holding in my hand. And I just began installing them by putting a washer on the screw and placing that screw and washer in the back. And then I'm gonna put the washer on top of the screw once it comes in, and then add the cabinet knob to the screw. And the washers are there to just protect the screw from stripping. And here I'm taking the screwdriver just to hold in place of the screw, and then I just twist the Galaxy cabinet knob on as tight as I possibly can, but not too tight so that I don't strip the screw. And once the dresser drawers are back added to the dresser, I just give it a final dust down just to knock off all of that remaining debris off, and we are done. And here is the final result. I absolutely love the way that it came out, and you can do this too. If you upcycle a project and you use this video as a reference, please let me know in the comments. And if you would like to see more DIY videos such as this, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel where you will see more. Thank you for watching, and until next time.